Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to 777 day 6. And I just saw 6 seconds on the counter as I said that. I get to be outside today because it's a lovely, sunny, warmish day here in the northern plains. If you're new here to the show, I want to welcome you. This show can stand alone by itself, but it is part of a 7-day series. We've been working on this past month, a little mini retreat workshop. We've been working our way through the chakras. Today's show is all about the third eye, everyone's favorite. So before we get into any more of that, if you're returning to the show, thank you for joining me yet again, the TLC for the Soul family. Let's get settled in. There's a little bit to share. I'm not sure how much we have. We've been working with Powerball, my yet to be released fiction novel, channeled fiction. We've channeled a story in this morning that portends things about the third eye. So just a little summary of this series. If you've never worked with me before, this is something that you may want to be aware of. And then we'll invite in the guides to bring the downloads in for this particular episode. Once you join a healing journey, whether it be one show or in this case a series of 7 shows, you enter a sacred container. And for those of you that have been doing 777, some of you have been doing 555, which is my other workshop. All that stuff, there's a playlist for both these workshops and a bunch of other fun stuff in YouTube, and some of them are on Spotify. This 777 is on Spotify. You enter into a sacred container, and as such, it's not just what you hear during the show that is it's kind of what happens afterwards that's the real magic, because you have opened yourself to receiving whatever it is that your guides, your higher self, want you to heal or want you to be aware of. We play a lot here on this show. There's a lot of child's play and inner child fun, as they are they're not telling me, but I have a swing set in my backyard. My house came with all sorts of groovy stuff. So it does have a whole giant playground set with everything and a huge trampoline that I got up on earlier, but I was too scared to bounce on it. So now my dog's mad because she can see me in the backyard. But she made me mad earlier, so I told her she can't come out here with me. Okay. So you enter into a sacred container, and what happens within and around you, if you're working from a place of your higher self, if you're working from a place of open and receptive, intuitive states, working with your 6th senses, your claircognizance, clairaudience, clairvoyance, all of that, then you will start to see things revealed to you. Your guides and your higher self will start to reveal things to you that will kind of clue you in. So I know some of you tell me, like, I listen to you guys share that you listen to the show in kind of a meditative state so that you can get the most downloads and intuitive hits from it. And then you share with me, you message me or whatever, and you share with me like the synchronicities and the serendipities that come up after the show, things that you've noticed that you were like, oh, you were talking about this, and then later on I saw this, and I'm like, haha, it's so good. These serendipities and synchronicities and stuff that our guides send us, it's so good. So first of all, thank you all for sharing those things with me. Those of you that share this show with your friends or people that you think would benefit from all the stuff we do on here. There's so much coming through right now. It's so exciting. But I want to talk in this episode about the third eye. So the last time we left off with Powerball, And each person, so this is indicative of where you're at in this 777 journey, but each person, as we worked with the chapter 14 whale song, and we did some whale light language at the end of the show. So if you're one of those people that just tries to pop in and out, if you don't wait till the end, sometimes you miss the best parts, because that's where a lot of the light language does come in. They kind of save it for the end. I guess if you stuck around that long, then you deserve the gift, the benefit of whatever else they have to share at the end of these shows. But each one was following kind of like a heart path. At the end of the last chapter, we were working with the heart. It was a journey they started to follow their heart song and higher guidance. And there was heart healing. And I can say that after I recorded that, I had a lot of healing come up between the sacral and the heart space, which seemed to be somewhat connected now, even more so on a collective level. So here I'm going, they're going to start, but let me invite them in. I know they're already here, but just for your sake of knowing, like, we're all in a sacred space, I'm going to wrap us all in love light and light love, inviting in the guides who overlight this show: Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, Pleiadians, and a whole host of other friends and family guides who join us here, spirit friends. Let's start out with the next chapter of Powerball. So put on your master ears and eyes and close your eyes and listen. These are all channeled stories. All of my ebooks everything that's in ebook form is free to read wherever you find ebooks. So Google Books, Apple Books, Barnes and Noble, and through my publisher, Smashwords, which I think has a different name now. I think it's still called Smashwords, but they have merged with another company, so it may start being called something else. I can't remember what it is, but if you hit the link in my show notes to go check out everything that I have to offer, as long as you have an EPUB reader on your phone for those files, then on your phone... I'm going into like Topo Show or something. And I'm not dating myself because I was not around for that particular character. Was it like Mortimer Snerd and all that? Why? It's because my mom's spirit is here, I think, because those are all, she's been around all day. Those are all like things she loved. Like, what was that other one? Lamb Chop? All right, I hear you. I know you're here. Thanks. Because I remember she would always tell me about him. So anyway, she needs some inner child healing too. So these are channeled, and what the heck? And what I'm doing is I'm in the process of reorging my website, and I'm setting up a place where you can go look at all these books in terms of how they work as healing workbooks, because they're not just stories. And I kind of try to explain, I haven't published those changes yet to my site, but I'm arranging them so that you can see them as, so let's say I want healing on, or I want to work on whatever, forgiveness, healing the heart, blah, blah, blah. Then I'll have like a section you can read about that, like the overarching themes, and then you can go pick the workbook that works best for you. And we've got so many, I need to probably rearrange our playlist here on the show, but we've used so many of these books already in healing episodes that I'm going to try my best maybe to link some of the books that we've already used as healing, where we come in and we do extra work with them so that you can see how to use them yourself and get more benefit from them. All right, let's talk about the third eye now. Oh, the other thing you want me to share? Oh my God, you guys. So 777 is also going to be available as a personal healing personal healing bundle. I have not put that service up on my website quite yet. I probably will have it by the time this series ends, which is next week. I should have that up there, but it's going to be a 7-week series you'll purchase, and we'll do this kind of the same thing we did here on the show, but we'll do it specifically for you. Your guides will tailor the session for you, and you'll have like 7 1-hour sessions to work through on your own. They're audio. I do pretty much all my work audio to you versus face-to-face. It just works better for me that way. I don't have to work with like scheduling nightmares and all that stuff, because I just schedule it myself and then send you audio, or if you want a video file or whatever, like you can choose how you want to do that. But so that is going to be available, as well as all the other services that I already offer. If you're interested in a personal healing session with me or whatever, feeling called to that, you can take a look at all of that in the link in my show notes. Okay, now without further ado, here we go again. Throat chakra. I swear every time I get on with you guys, my throat. All right, so I'm going to read this. We're going to pull some more cards for clarification to see where we're going on this journey now as we move up to the third eye. This is chapter 15, which breaks down to a 6. I'm just saying. The title is that, and I channeled this morning, the time for quaking in your boots is now. So don't get worried about that yet. Okay, there's nothing to worry about. We're working with Linnaeus McGee. If you're new to this story, Linnaeus is a fae. He is part of this little ragtag group that is working with the Powerball, which is something that Hyperseth created. He's one of our main characters. And we're working with Grimelda Ravenclaw and Magdalene Ravenclaw. They are sisters of the Coven of Dragonshire. They've left their dastardly home, Castle Dragonshire, in the Badlands, and they were kind of hustled across into the light world by Hyperseth and Linnaeus McGee, who held a key that helped them move from one world to the other. We don't quite know all the powers that this Powerball has. Grimelda has kind of been trying to learn its powers, working with Linnaeus McGee as a wizard / mentor, because Hyperseth, who created the Powerball, has been busy trying to romance his soul flame, Magdalene Ravenclaw. And so they've kind of been off to the side trying to do their own, like, getting to know each other thing. All right. Chapter 15, the time for quaking in your boots is now. So as Linnaeus was returning from the fairylands, he had a high step in his heart, and he was feeling lighter and freer than he had in some time. There had been much partying and lovemaking around the fires, and he had been renewed. Now back to work, he thought to himself, as he returned his consciousness to the thoughts of Grimelda Ravenclaw and the Powerball. He was receiving guidance from the elders of the light world, and deeper and more intuitive messages were being channeled now that he had a clear head. Linnaeus moved through the tall glade grass that surrounded the small encampment they had created using the magic of the land. It was a simple place, and Linnaeus would be darned if he would stay there any longer than necessary. Once Grimelda had mastered the Powerball, if anyone could truly harness all its power remains to be seen, then they could part ways, and he could return home to his beloved. His mind's eye tingled, and he could sense information being transmitted. "You are to return to the Badlands at once," the voice in his mind commanded. I'm like, Merlin, is that how you talk to me? I get these like HQ messages. Sorry. You are to return to the Badlands at once, the voice in his mind commanded. "It is a most dire circumstance that requires your immediate attention." Now Linnaeus, here we go, was just what I was saying. Now Linnaeus was not accustomed to responding to just any old rampant voice that entered his consciousness, but he quickly had recognized these intuitive messages as coming from his guardian spirit, and as such, his assignments had always been actualized through this higher power. That's very important right there. We're going to come back to that. "The girl has been kidnapped. You must go at once," the higher power named Archibald said to Linnaeus in his mind. "The future of the light world and of Grimelda, the Powerball, and everything else depends on you finding the girl. Go at once." Well, needless to say that old Linnaeus McGee was not the least bit happy about this trip. He thought he had rid himself of the Badlands for good. And that Archibald had neatly and cleanly gave him the least bit of instruction was a bit grinding on old I can't read this. Was a bit grinding on old Linnaeus's nerves. All right, you guys, something's coming up here for you. But of course, he had pledged himself to the work of the light world, and so he would perform this task as best he could, and as only he knew how. Feeling his way through the mire and direness of the Badlands, using his third sight and inner guidance system, and of course with a little help from his friends. Okay, I don't know why they make me laugh. So, oh my gosh, the sun feels so amazing. I don't know why this is coming up again. I don't want to keep... Is there any other meaning behind this thing that I need to point out to people? Okay, they said no, keep going. All right. Working with your third eye. I don't know why on the show, we keep saying this. We have to keep saying this. There's somebody or some collective of people listening that feel like just because, well, it's twofold. Number one, it's like, okay, if you're speaking with spirit and you're unsure, so let them just take over my lips and channel what needs to be channeled here. So I'm not just repeating what I've said before. If you are being commanded by a spirit that you don't know, then you are not expected to just blindly obey that source. You are expected to, first of all, know who you're talking to. So I think a lot of people, that we've got this mixed bag, I think, of people listening to this, or we will be in the future, whoever's listening, this is timeless, but this kind of mixed bag of like people who are newer to their spiritual journey or just opening up to their psychic gifts and their intuitive senses, and those of you that are more experienced. So for those of you that are just opening up to your psychic senses, and honestly, believe me, no judgment here, because I've been through all of this before on my journey, so I know where we're coming from. But just because some voice out of the spirit world tells you to do something does not mean you don't have strong boundaries around that you don't verify what you're hearing, that you don't check in with your heart, check in with your own, like, how do you feel about what you're being shown or said to or asked to do. And if it doesn't feel good to you, then you shouldn't do it. And just because, and the same thing is just because it's coming from me, or any other way shower or reader or healer or shaman or whoever you might hear somewhere, you've got to take it upon yourself in your own sovereignty and free will choice to validate and flesh out and feel out and experiment with whatever is being shown to you, to see how it resonates with you, because you have the ultimate end choice. So if you have succumbed in the past to some sort of rampant voice telling you what to do, you're being asked to take heed and take heart and just, make sure that you are clear on what's going on there. Hi. And then for those of you that are kind of more advanced working with your psychic senses, like you've been through that before, and you're like, why does she keep telling me this? For you, it's more that you are going to start you are, as a bringer of the light, and I'll share with you something else in a second if I come back to it, but you are, as a bringer of the light, going to be asked to do things as part of your light work, as part of your grid work, as part of your gatekeeping, as part of your service to others. You will be asked and shown things. Now, again, you're already intending, like, okay, I'm going to do whatever's for the highest and best good of all concerned. Like, your ideals and your intentions are very high vibe, very advanced, coming from a frequency way above, like, feeling like there's psychic attack or somebody's trying to reach out to you and tell you to do something wrong. You understand the voice you're hearing is your higher self, your highest self, is source, and guides that are of the highest and most benevolent, guides that have been with you for most of you, many, many lifetimes. And when you're shown something, it either immediately clicks like, yes, it feels good, and you're like, yep, I'm on it, or kind of like, let me sit and kind of sit with that for a little bit before I do anything with it. And if you get that hit, that type of feeling, then I usually wait 2 or 3 days. Like I might jot it down somewhere, make a note of it in my mind file, and then a couple days go by, and if I still feel really jazzed about it, then I'll kind of run with it. But if it doesn't come back to me again, or I still am kind of like, oh no, I might just put it somewhere for later and kind of archive it in a sense, And sometimes those things that come to you aren't meant for like right in this now moment. I get a lot of stuff that's channeled through, and I'll put it, I use Google Keep for most of my stuff, and I just jot it down, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do anything with that, but I don't delete it or anything, because sometimes 5 or 6 months later, sometimes a year or two later, I come back and I'm like, man, I really want to work with whatever it is, and then I go look in my file and I'm like, oh, there's a channel download. Now I'm ready to run with that. So just don't automatically dismiss those things. Take note of them somewhere, and then you might be kind of ready. It might be divine timing that it's time for you to work with something maybe later on. So this is kind of the gamut of working with your third eye. We're talking about folks that are new to working with their psychic senses and need a little bit more guidance and assurance, and need to work up the trust and faith and higher vibiness of working with those powers to understand what's truly coming from where. And then we have the folks on the more advanced side of things, which are what we just talked about, who are very clear about what's coming from where, have a very high vibe intention set, have done this work for quite a long time, have learned all the lessons of what happens when you don't do things with certain protocols. And, I think we just learn from each other there, So to those of you that are interested in grid working, gatekeeping, Bringers of the Light HQ assignments, I did say somewhere, I don't remember what show it was in now, that I wanted to bring back Sisters for the Sword. And yesterday I was like, I really want to bring it back, but I don't want it to just be for the feminine, because we have quite a few divine masculine that listen to this show. There's at least 40% male energy. There's 40% of men. Don't get me into all that gender stuff. There's 40% of people that identify as male are listening to this show. And so I want to do something that where all of you can participate, because we're all here working for the betterment, the highest good and high vibiness of our planet and of the souls and sentient beings that are here. We're all a learning school. We're all trying to raise the vibe. And so Sisters for the Sword is going to come back as Souls for the Sword. And we are going to be working a lot with the Arthurian Grail lines, probably pulling in Merlin, probably bringing in some Norse stuff in there. Oh, I got big chills for that. My Norse friends have been, Odin and Freya and the folks on the Yonder Cell have been wanting me to work with them for so long. And so we're going to be bringing that back too. So Souls for the Sword. So probably going to start here maybe in a couple of weeks. We'll see. Let's pull a few more cards around this whole third eye gig. See what else is coming in there. So that was another one. So they do want me to share this story. So that was another one where it was kind of like, let me tell you, Mercury went retrograde, and a lot of this third eye work here, a lot of the stuff we're talking about, Linnaeus McGee having to go back to the Badlands is very synchronistic for what's happening with this third eye, this day 6. Whenever you're listening to this, it doesn't matter if you're listening to it now. I'm recording it like maybe 4 or 5 days before the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Very transcendent, very big, huge time jump coming for that I'm going to do a whole other show on that. But it's significant. So you're being taken back in a way to some shadow stuff, to clear anything that's left before we move up to the crown, which would be day 7, which we'll be recording next week right after the eclipse happens. But the fact, and this is also Bringers of the Light. So this whole chapter that we've channeled in for today, Linnaeus is being asked to follow an assignment, and he doesn't really want to do it. Oh my God, I don't even want to go into all that, but you guys have heard me talk about that before. But sometimes you have to do what you're asked to do because you can't see the whole picture yet. You can't see the full way forward. It's being hidden from you for a reason. It may be because it's a big surprise. It may just be because you're not meant to know yet. And so he doesn't know why why the heck does he have to go back to the dang Badlands? Nobody wants to go back there. Even Grimelda Ravenclaw, once she left and got into the light world in this book, didn't really want to go back again. And we know that dark forces were trying to bring her back. So the Castle Dragonshire elders were trying to bring her back because they know of her powers. They know of the mark of Katana on her shoulder. They know she's called to do something bigger and better, and they kind of want her all to their badness. They want her for themselves. And I noticed when she got to the light world, like nobody wanted her for anything. She's just been left on her own to kind of figure things out. And so to me, the Badlands is kind of like the shadow side of things. I mean, you can draw whatever metaphors you want from it. The dark world. I'm not saying like the dark world, like whatever. But it could. I think it's more like your own shadow, like maybe your own addictions, your own fears, your own stuff. Like you're being asked to kind of go back again, and you're going to be shown. I haven't channeled the next chapter yet, but I guess they're going to be shown like, oh, they've got to have trust, because the next chapter is going to be about the crown chakra. They're going to have trust that they're being guided to their highest good, even if and everyone has shadow, right? The goal of being a bringer of the light, the goal of your incarnation in this now is not to completely get rid of your shadow. It's just not possible. You cannot do it. It exists, and it's there for a reason. It's a teaching tool. And yes, you can clear a lot of the stuff that's in there that's been pre-programmed or put in there or has been sitting in there for lifetimes, but you're not in this lifetime. That's not to say that somewhere down the road, so many lifetimes from now, there's no more shadow. Like maybe there's not. But you're left to do your best. But you're here in the third eye, and you're being asked to do something, and you're only kind of feeling your way forward, like increments at a time. Like Linnaeus McGee has no idea what he's supposed to do when he gets to the Badlands. He knows he's supposed to find Grimelda, but all he got was some very unclear, they were clear instructions, but there wasn't much to them. Like, why is Archibald just telling me, like, I gotta go back to the Badlands? Grimelda's been kidnapped. Well, what am I supposed to do now? Like, he goes over there, he has to use his heart key to get in, and then he goes back, and then what? Is he just like standing there looking around? How is he supposed to find freaking Grimelda Ravenclaw if she's been kidnapped? So this is kind of like this frustrated feeling you might be feeling right now, like, well, I know I'm supposed to be doing something. I know I'm working on behalf of my higher self. I always say stuff like, I'm in service to Source, for Gaia and humanity, for the highest and best good of all concerned. That's kind of like a Bringers of the Light code of ethics, or whatever you want to say, and it's our code of conduct, code of armor. But then what? Like, what is he supposed to do? How the heck is he supposed to find her? And he's just a little old fae. He's like an old guy. He's like a freaking old fae elder. And is anybody going with him? Is he supposed to just do this on his own? These are the metaphors. Like, no one's with you on this journey. Now you're all kind of in it to win it on your own. Until we meet again. So let me pull some cards. I did bring out, it still feels very watery to me. I don't still know what's going on in Pisces, but I do know Jupiter's moving, so that means maybe some of these other planets are moving out of Pisces. But I do have the Mermaid Tarot and the Pleiadian Power Oracle. Mermaid Tarot is Dame Darcy. Pleiadian Power is my deck. I'm just going to see if there's anything else. Man, my throat chakra really opened up, and I just spewed out a whole lot of wisdom. I don't know. Based on personal experience and whatever they move my lips to say. All right, let's see. Is there anything else you want to say about, especially the title, like quaking in your boots? What the heck? Wait, hold on. I want to see this. The time for quaking in your boots is now. So I got 3 cards coming out of the tarot deck. I saw a deck. I was looking at tarot decks, and I actually bought a Norse tarot deck, a Nordic Magic tarot deck we're going to play with, maybe on Souls for the Sword. I'm just shuffling out Pleiadian power now. And what the heck? Oh, I saw a deck that was called All Tower or something. It was a tarot deck, but every single deck, every single freaking card was a tower. So like the Knight of Swords had a tower in it. Never mind. You had to be there. Okay. So the first card we got is the Three of Cups and the Faith card. I just keep showing up for myself. It's very divine feminine energy here. I've got 3 mermaids on the, the Three of Cups card. And I've got the Angel Faith on this Pleiadian power card. She's got a love necklace on. Three of Cups, the third eye. These mermaids and divine feminine. The third eye is divine feminine energy, right? And flow and intuitiveness and flowy feminine. Oh God, we're gonna do some light language. Feminine. Going with the flow, being very watery, being very open to receive, being receptive. Oh shit! Bitch. Okay, hold on. This means something. First of all, the wind is blowing. Hold on. Cards are flying, but the Justice card flew out. And the Knight of Cups flew away even farther. So the Justice card flew out and landed upright. And the Knight of Cups flew out and landed face down. I'm going to sit with that for a minute. Did that fly off the top of my deck? Oh, weird. Okay, I don't know. I don't know there. So see, I don't know, and they're not telling me anything. So it's kind of like they're saying, "Well, use your third eye and figure it out." Like, why did those fly over there? All right, let me just come back to that. The next 2 cards that we drew were the Queen of Swords, and in this particular deck, this Dame Darcy deck, the Queen of Swords, it's very interesting because it's just like a feminine face with a sword kind of next to it, almost like in her hair, but she's crying in this card. And then the Pleiadian power card is emotions run deep here. And there's another lady that's kind of like, she's another mermaid, and she's kind of putting her hand up, almost like she's blocking her third eye. In this picture, I know you guys, this is an audio version, you can't really see it. That's fine. Just use your master senses. You can picture, but she's a mermaid. She's half underwater, and she's almost got like her hand up to her third eye. It's not quite touching it, but it's almost like it's blocking the chakra in a way. So I feel like this is bringing up a lot of emotion for folks. It just goes back to, it's just the guides reconfirming or confirming what we already talked about. Like, some of you have been kind of like what you feel like you were hurt in the past by something that happened through using your third eye as a psychic power. And they're bringing up they're bringing up the Ouija board. And I've read so many. I want to get one for us on the show because I want to play with it and have fun with it, right? It's very childlike. Most people had used it when they were kids. And the thing that I hear most people say about it is like, oh, no, not those evil spirits that come through the Ouija board. And you can open up a portal to, hell and back and all that. And it's like, wait, no. Everything is a tool. Nothing is going to open up the gates of hell unless you command it to be so. Because you're the one working with the tool. You're not like a devil dog, are you? You're like a being of light and love and power, divine power and wisdom and sacredness. And maybe in some previous lifetime, some other similar tool was used against you. Was not used for your highest and best good. Yes, here I'm getting chills, even though it's hot out. Was used as a form of black magic against you. But we're not talking about that right now. That is gone. We need to release that. So we are going to have to do some light language to clear that block, because you shouldn't be afraid of what you're seeing. Even if it looks horrible to you, you have the power to command what you allow. It's not what comes to you, but what you allow in and what you don't allow in. It just goes back to what we were just saying at the beginning. It's like, if you see something and you don't want to see it, then you just tell your guides that you don't bring that to you anymore. Either you're not ready for it, or you just don't want to see it because you don't like it. I mean, you have the power to control what comes to you and what doesn't, and what you let in and what you choose to not. All right. And I don't think I need to tell these stories again unless you need to hear them. Oh, they're saying tell the story. Okay, here's the dang story again. So I like these same stories. When my psychic senses were first, not that they've always kind of been open, but when they were opening more fully, kind of when I was consciously started working with them, I had the universe gifted me with a good friend who was also very gifted psychic. Obviously we had a past life connection together. And I remember, like, I would walk, just one particular instance, I would walk, or run in my neighborhood, and there was in this one particular instance this missing girl poster, and I swear it just called to me every single time, like, I'm missing, help me, I'm live. I don't remember what it said, but I was just like, why is this compelling me to, like, listen to this? And then it showed me, like, some other scenes of, like, apparently, she was no longer in the physical world, basically, and she had been slain, she had been kidnapped, and she had been killed, and so many chills. And I didn't really want to know that. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with this information? Like, do I call the police and, like, say something? And the freaking poster kept calling to me every time I went around to it, and it wasn't necessarily the poster, it was kind of like this chick spirit kept being like, vindicate me. And I was, like, freaking out because I didn't know what to do that. And I didn't want to deal with serial killers or killers of any type for that matter. That was not my life path to do that. Many people do. And that's your life path. That's part of your dharma and part of your soul plan. You maybe want to work with the authorities and, help find missing people and all that. But I just felt like that wasn't my life plan. It was just a little too brutal for me in this time. And so I remember I would go to my friend and I would say, I just don't know what's going on. Like, I'm freaking out and this, that, and the other's happening. And she's like, okay, calm. And back then I wasn't as trusting I wasn't trusting myself enough to know that I had complete control over what was coming through. I wasn't being psychically attacked. Nobody was trying to, like, do anything to push this information onto me. But I still felt like, and this was past life trauma I had to work through, I still felt like, there's this persecution energy, there's all this stuff from the past that has to do with past lives, that has to do with black magic and stuff being done against me to dim my light and this, that, and the other, and all those seeds that needed healing were still there. So I was very distrustful of information that I received through my guides. Even though they were my guides, I was kind of like, well, really? Is that, what? That's too spooky or whatever. And so I remember her telling me, like, well, if you don't trust that a guide is your guide, then make up a password and only give it to your guides. And if some new energy comes in that you don't recognize, make them give you the password. And if they can't give you the password, then they're not your guides. And that was kind of how I started working and building trust with my guides. I had, like, a very small set of guides that I worked with. And if some other energy came in, and that's not the only time something came in where I just blindly let something in and I really got, I really learned a lesson. But this is one I'll share for now. But so I did start working with that and building trust, and through a series of years that went by, and more trust being built, and more of my psychic gifts coming online, and more of me being comfortable with working with different types of energies, and raising my vibration to know that, well, like attracts like. I'm not going to attract a devil dog if I'm, an angel, an earth angel. It's just not going to happen. So, unless I actively call one in and ask, start wanting to work with it. That's me commanding as the soul to want to do that. So So this really takes more of a healing session to do this. So let's just pull in. Let me look at the final cards here, and then we'll pull in maybe some light language to work with that block. Oh yeah, so we got, the last card we got in my deck is your consciousness is expanding. We got the Justice card, and we got the Knight of Cups. So this is like balance is being restored to you in regards to doing what you love, getting paid for it. Okay, so some of you, this is because this series is called 777, which is about moving forward. And oh man, there's some of you that are taking a very long and winding road to getting where you need to go, and it's there's nothing wrong with that. There's no wrong turns right now. There's only, like, is it Liz Harrison from Guided by Angels, Guided with Angels? Is it Guided by Angels? There's only lessons that lead to blessings. I like that. I like when she says that, because it's true. It makes you feel not so victimized by your circumstances, because all these things are lessons that lead to blessings. And if it takes you 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years to learn the lessons, at least you've learned them. And now you can move forward towards the blessings that need to happen. Believe me, an incarnation on this planet is not easy. But we are coming in at a time now when, yes, there's been a lot of healing work going on. Yes, you've done a lot of crap ton of shadow work. Yes, times have felt very challenging. I just think a 3D reality is very challenging to begin with. I don't know. Hold on. Let me just diatribe for a minute on that. It's just very challenging. If you're an earth angel or a starseed that has lived on a very luminous star system or matrix or planetary grid or something, like there's those of you listening come from many different places. That your consciousness has been incarnated as a soul incarnating into some type of form, either ethereal, etheric, planetary consciousness. Like some of you have been planets before. Some of you have been a star system before. Like you don't remember it yet, but your consciousness is expanding to remember some of these things now. And it's time to weave that into this soul blueprint that you have now and see how that can benefit you, benefit others. It's a dual reciprocity, how you can use that to show up in this world. But if you've lived in a more corporeal, is corporeal the right word? I don't know, but if you've lived in a very luminescent planetary system or star body before, where you were more of a light body, like very light body, not so 3D, being on this planet is just hard. I keep talking about the telekinesis. It's like, I know I just want to move that from there to there. It's like, why do I have to get up, go over there, touch it, move it? It's so frustrating. Doing little things that require dexterity in the hands or I know it can be fun. Like, okay, I want to, do some project with my hands. We came to this planet to have a physical experience. But if a lot of your past experience has been in other lighter, more etheric forms, I think just some of that can frustrate your day. And it gets me sometimes. I'm just like, why? Why do I have to? I told you I want a house elf really bad. I'm like, why do I have to pick up that dust closet and dust my house? Why doesn't it just clean itself? These little things. So, but justice is going to be restored. You are going to be able to do what you love here on this earth in this lifetime. So this goes into more of a, this final little set of cards that kind of blew off and blew away was your consciousness is expanding. And then justice and the Knight of Cups just flew off in the wind. So kind of like winds of change coming to propel you and move you forward. And many of you, that's where I was going. It's like many of you have taken this kind of detour path because you're not allowing yourself to receive what's meant for you. You're holding back from yourself because out of fear, out of rejection, out of not wanting to see it, hence that mermaid with her hand up to her third eye. Like, I don't want to see what my real future looks like because it could be too scary, too overwhelming. It just could be too darn good. And maybe I have a fear of finding that thing or that person or that career or whatever. And it's like, well, can you not wear yourself out in the process? Can you just surrender? This is where we're going to day 7. Can you just surrender to your Dharma and surrender to Source and let yourself flow? Let yourself be taken there on wings of ease rather than wings of strife and pushing and pulling and grinding yourself into the ground. Just let yourself be carried by the flow, by the love, by your guides and angels and Source. They want you to show up as the highest and best version of yourself. And regardless of when you listen to this, there's a timeline jump coming for you. All the healing work that we've done or that you've been doing individually on yourself is going to pay off here. But if you're too scared to see it, or you don't want to move forward because you're like Lenny is, and he's like, God dang it, I got to go back to the dang Badlands again. Maybe, who knows, maybe his best, something really good is waiting for him over there. I don't know. It sounds like a place I didn't really want to be at either, but maybe we haven't explored the Badlands completely. Maybe there is some good coming out of it. But we won't know until we trust. Open up our senses, allow yourself to receive, allow it to flow. So let's take a deep breath with me now, everybody. Let's breathe in love. Hold your breath for a second. Breathe out love. Let's breathe in love. Hold your breath for a second. Breathe out love. Let's breathe in love. Hold your breath for a second. Breathe out love. Let's move forward together. I'm going to bring in this light language, this Pleiadian power light language, to clear anything that's holding you back from your highest and best good. From moving forward, which is all about the 7s. Let me uncross my legs. I gotta get a little grounded into the earth here. Let's close your eyes. Just be receptive to what's coming through. Two things are coming through here. We've got light language coming through, and we've got some shamanic Reiki coming through with the spirit animal of the lynx. Ergikar art is ufun ir ha hi ha hier smarekia chikata warjian ya miara kinkia kya kenya tatakachu chichu kinga kik Guk gint ik uk ka gik nek hak chik tak tik tst. Key codes being delivered. This is unicorn light language. Let's take a deep breath. All right, friends. We'll release you back to your magical world. From my heart to yours, we bid you love. We bid you light. We bid you love, light, blessings, rainbow blessings. Take care. And we'll see you all again soon in the next episode.